Just received a package from Whiteline. Let's have a look. Cool. This is their new roll center kit for the Golf R and S3. So I've had these on all my Evos from these guys. So if you lower your vehicle, this is to keep the lower control arms in the front level and all your geometry correct. Otherwise, the control arms sit, if this is a tire over here, they sit down on an angle like that, and you aren't getting the right geometry of your suspension, and your roll center of your vehicle actually changes, so it makes it a bit feel more top heavy than it is. These drop it down, they're on an angle, and these are pretty cool. They're also slotted, so you can actually use that to get a little bit more camber by pushing the lower control arm out a little bit towards the wheel to get a bit more camber in your car. So we'll get those thrown into the car and get it aligned and have a drive and see what we think. So what is it? Okay, there's two ball joints, the mounts for the top, then you got your instructions here. So what is this roll kit? Here you go. It is designed to raise the front roll center geometry on the vehicles with lowered ride height measurements over OE using specifically engineered ball joints. Changing the front suspension geometry by raising roll center results in substantial increase to the roll resistance and significant reduction in suspension compression of the outside front wheel during cornering through improved weight transfer distribution. During cornering, this leads to significantly reduced understeer through reduced front wheel compression, as well as improved steering feel, precision, and vehicle stability. And I gotta say, I've had these on my Evos, I've had them on my WRX, and it makes a massive difference to the way the car handles and the turn-in feel. Okay, let's get to installing the Whiteline roll center kit. So what these are new lower ball joints. You notice they are slotted. We can actually get a little bit extra camber out of these. Now, why do we want a roll center kit? Well, let's have a look. The whole point, as I mentioned, is to get we're pretty low here, the control arms, which, I don't know if you can try to get in there. The control arms, lower control arms here. Now they got that's the RS3 brake duct, but just behind it you see the control arm. And can you see that is not level? It is lower there. So what that does, that actually makes the car more top heavy. It changes the suspension geometry, and we can get a much better feel of the car if we can get that down. So we replace the ball joint, which is hidden behind the RS3 duct there. The lower ball joint is right up there. It is there. So we're going to undo those bolts, and what that does, that kind of spaces it. It's a different thickness on the top, and it pushes the arm down a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to measure the heights here right now, and we're going to also measure the height of the car going from the we're going to go from the center of the wheel to the top of the fender, and then we'll compare it after we put it in. Now we'll have to get an alignment done after this, and we'll be able to get a bit more camber. So I do have my last specs, which we had not done not long ago, and we'll see how much more camber we can get out of this setup. Okay, trying to work out how to measure this. So what I've done, I'm actually looking through the wheel here, and we can get it against the tire and straight up and down, and we can see there, let's call that 14 and a half or 14.6 centimeters. So that's 14.6 centimeters standard height there off the ground, and we'll measure a little bit farther into the car and see what we get there. Okay, in looking at where the lower control arm attaches, at that point there, we're looking at just over 12, let's call it 12.3 centimeters to that point there. To the top of the fender arch. We are 30, let's do it 33.3. That'll give us an idea of what happens when we change these over. So next step, we're going to jack up the car, take the wheels, the front wheels off, and we'll learn how to take the ball joints off. Okay, see what we're working with here. So this is what we're removing, and there's a plate on kind of on the top of the arm here. 3 bolts here. They are a deep socket. This is a 16, and there's another nut on top. So we'll just start taking these off. These are going to be on there pretty good. Now we'll just have a look and see what size nut that is up there. There's a short 17, but that's not getting in there. We'll get a wrench. Just going to cut off our RS3 brake nuts. They're only held on with cable ties. It's pretty handy. And that way we can get some better clearance here. Okay, I got an 18 mil. And that should be, that is the right size. So we will crack this nut off. Probably gonna need a little extra leverage. Okay, we're gonna need a little extra leverage on this 18. So got it rigged up here. There we go. It's all about the leverage. Clearance is pretty tight. And there's the flanged nut. So we're going to reuse that, so put that aside. Now we got to separate this. So to get that out of there, we can try to hit with the hammer, or we can try the ball joint fork. Here we go. This will hopefully pull it out. So ended up wailing on it with the fork and the hammer here, so we got it come loose, which is good. There we go. Ball joint out. And we'll pull it out of there. Okay, now that that's off, we can compare that to the new Whiteline one and see the difference. Looking at the difference between the two, you know, these are the right and the right. So Whiteline, we've got the slots so we can get a little more camber, push it out a little bit. This obviously we don't in the factory one, and you can see how much taller the Whiteline one is. I'm gonna take this nut off so he's not being fooled with that. But you can see that it is quite a bit taller, so that is going to push the control arm up without changing the hub up, without changing the angle of the control arm. So that's going to be a really decent amount of lift, and we'll get the measurements on there when we're done. So you really see it's a difference in height there. Okay, so we're going to put this in now. We'll put that together like that so you can see the movement you get to be able to slide it out. And let's try to get this in here. So bend this down. It's a bit awkward, just the tension in the control arm bushings. Okay, there we go. That's in there. Now we'll put that big nut on top. Just get it in there finger tight, and get it all finger tight, and then we'll tighten it all up. So you can have a look at that there. Now, let's see. Oh yeah, you can pulling on the strut, you can see how much movement we have. We can pull it, the bottom out. So we'll be able to pull it out and then tighten it up and get that extra bit of camber on it. Okay, I've got the foot on, ready to go. Let's pull it out tight. Try to hold it. Get some tension on a couple of these. Okay, have a look. See how that is? Yeah, we're pulled out pretty good there. You can see that there's a bit of space. I'll just tighten these up. You don't want these slipping. Now, of course, this is going to throw at our alignment quite a bit. I can already see that the toes is there's a lot more toe out here in the front. So to the alignment shop tomorrow. Okay, there we go. That is done. That is one side of the Whiteline roll center kit. So we got a bit more camber in it. You can see we just pulled it out. We can see that it's noticeably lower, so it's going to be change the whole roll center of the car, which is good because after we lowered it with the coilovers, yeah, you definitely want to change the roll center because it changes the whole balance and pitch of the car when you throw it into a corner. Okay, now we're checking the heights from the ground against the edge of the tire on that lower control arm again. And we are just on 14 against the steel, so that's a bit of a drop there. And we'll check the other angle, the one in the middle. It's about 11.5, so definitely lower. But we're having a look at the angle of these control arms, and they're definitely a better angle. It doesn't look like, so they were like this before, like the car was just really dropped, and it definitely looks like the car is the car is definitely up a bit, so that the control arms are much flatter. Exactly what we're after. And if we look here, so the toe is out, the tires are turned a little, but look at that. Look at that camber there. So decent amount of camber on these wheels now. Very improved. So we do have the Super Pro camber tops, but these Whiteline roll center kit's supposed to give another half a degree, and yeah, I believe that for sure. We can definitely go a bigger tire. We will be going a bigger tire on our track rims shortly, but at the moment, nice and easy fitment. Okay, quick check of the height. Now we're center of the, you can't really see it too well because of the angle. Center of the hub and to the highest point of the guard, we're at 33. All right, we're back from getting an alignment done. We took it for a good drive. Car feels really nice. Now, got my specs from previous, so that was a couple months ago, before my last track day, and then this is now. So big change. We can get in the front. You can now get. I did a little conversion here. I'll put the link to the website where you go from degrees into from minutes into degrees, and that was around negative 2.1 degrees camber on that right hand. And then now with the roll center kit, it's negative 2.88. So you can get quite a bit more camber. And the other wheel as well, the left hand, it slipped a bit, so I got to get in there and pull it out and tighten it up. It was negative 2.3 degrees, and even that we got it out to negative 4.7. That's with it having slipped, so I got to pull it back out and tighten it back up. Not bad. That's the big number. So we can finally get some negative camber on this thing to get the most of these semi-slick tires. Okay, Whiteline roll center kit. Pretty easy to install by yourself. You just need a couple tools. You need weird things. You'll need a 18 mil open-ended wrench, and you just need a deeper 16 mil socket, I think it was. But other than that, you should have most tools to do this quite easy. Now, we do have a lot of camber. You just saw that there. We're going to get aligned shortly, probably do it tomorrow or the next day. And really an easy kit to install. Having the ball joint fork, good idea. Just wail on it and it'll pop out. Now, of course, that old ball joint's going to be put it in the trash, so it's going to be ruined. But easy. Now, top tip, turn your wheels, whatever wheel you're working on, turn it to that side of the car so it's pointing out. It gives you way more room to work on it. Something that I discovered on the second one, and you saw that there in the time lapse, had it twisted out a little bit. It made it much easier to work on. But all in all, Whiteline roll center kit. Can't wait to get on the track.